The first thing on the list, if I have more wages, is a hot water heater, because we just have the cold running water now, and so I have a great big army kettle that I heat all of our water with for dishes to carry into the bathtub.
The truth of it is, I bought the second pair of shoes since I've been there. I don't have a pair of dress shoes. I bought $25 or $30 worth of clothing that I had to have. If they didn't furnish my uniforms, I don't know what I'd wear to work.
This is the Kirk pick. My mom made it for me about 2 years ago. And when we get this filled, we get to go on a vacation. The pick's not too awful full. We put odd change, odd pennies in here. And I've always said I wanted to go to the Bahamas.
So what you have here is a major not-for-profit corporate player. In fact, if you were to take the criteria that is used for-profit corporations on the profit list, the Fortune 500 list, you would find that Cornell University is ahead of such brand names as Quaker State, ahead of Harley Davidson, ahead of Dr. Pepper. Cornell continually monitors the behavior of what it characterizes as its peer institutions. Brown has committed itself to eliminate poverty in Providence, Rhode Island by the year 2000. Now you take that kind of commitment and contrast it with Cornell University, and unfortunately for this son of Cornell, the contrasts become very, very hard to swallow. What is also, I think, remarkable is how Cornell University's administration seems to be ignoring its own data. There are two extant reports that speak to this issue of an adequate wage. One was a report done by Cornell University interns, 3 students, one now in Georgetown Law School, 2 others in graduate school, all 3 of them under the supervision of Cornell's senior professors. They looked into this wage scale that Cornell is paying and found more than pockets. They found themes of underpaid workers.
My average working day is I get up 3:30 in the morning, get ready for work, you're mopping, dusting, polishing. It's just a very full day. And I should add at times very hard.
If it's snowing out, we shovel the sidewalks and throw the salt around so nobody slips and falls. I have 12 bathrooms that I clean every day, and 365 stairs that I climb with my vacuum cleaner and cleaning buckets in my hand.
I've actually had to dip into the savings account to survive the 4 years that I've been there. I guess it really bothers me that even with my own home, and when I have some wiring that's unsafe, I have to take the old wiring out, and I don't have electricity in this room I'm in the kitchen, or in this other bedroom, because I had the old knob and tube wiring and it was frayed, and I took it out because I didn't want to burn the house down. And when I went down to get the material to replace it with, I realized that it was going to run $100, $150, and I didn't have the $100, $150 that I could replace the wiring with, so I'm kind of saving $10, $12 a month till I hope I can accumulate just enough to get some electricity back in here. What gets me out of bed and gets me going and motivated in the morning is knowing I've got a bunch of students in there that are counting on me to do the job.
For breakfast, we do about 200 students. We listen to them, we talk to them. If they need help, we can't really give out of our pocket, but if we could, we would. There's 2 of them that come to my house just to visit, just to get away from Cornell and the college life, just to kind of have a family dinner, or just, to get away from the college itself. My mom has worked at Cornell for 28 years. I was going to get this job. I was going to get into Cornell, and that's the way I took it. You laid off in November, you laid off in December for Christmas break, which usually runs from anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. and you're not allowed to get unemployment because they know you're going to have a job to come back to. People just, they don't understand that it's really hard for people to know that come May you don't have a job for 2 months. I go and I find my own. I work for, a cleaning company for the 2 months. I mean, that's not easy either. It's just really hard to go to work every day and just pay your bills. It's terrible. I mean, when you can't buy groceries or, you have to borrow money, it's hard. And it hurts inside. I mean, you have pride. Everybody has pride. I try to keep my spirits up because I have a 4-year-old and I don't want him seeing me the bottom, I live for him. We have no phone. I can't take my child to the dentist on a regular basis to have his teeth cleaned. I can't take him to have physicals, to have all his shots updated unless there's a free clinic.
When you can't afford, you're not making the money, and you can't afford dental and stuff, your kids go without their teeth being clean and doing the necessary to keep them with, nice, healthy teeth. I don't have the money. I can't afford to take them. She got 4 teeth need to be pulled. I don't have the money to do it. I have to live off $14,000 a year. My kids attend school, and I cannot afford to get them pay for their lunch. And one of them get free lunch, and the other one you try to give her money from day to day. It's really, really hard when you're not making the money. I want to do things like take them on trips once a year, make sure they have all the food that they need, clothes, to keep warm.
Seems just like yesterday that the chairman of the Higher Ed Committee and I went to Ithaca to hold a hearing to deal with the question of social justice, social economic justice for the workers. There were workers that were on welfare, that were working full-time. There were workers getting food stamps. There were workers, if I remember, living as poor as I was during the Depression. And these were people with full-time jobs. I mean, that was absolutely outrageous. It was such a contradiction. Here there's this big, prestigious university, and when they have the graduations, they all come with their gowns and caps flowing, and yet in the shadow of the buildings, the workers were living so poorly.
We had a septic system put in because we had an outhouse until then. We were able to put some electric baseboard heat in, but still just enough to heat just the 2 rooms and the bathroom off to the side. The rest of the house is unheated still. We did insulate, but it's, we can't afford to heat it right now. And so we live without that half of the house for the winter time. The kids sleep here. This is Jethro's bunk. This is Jessica's. This is Jake's bed, and he gets about bedtime. He gets really, really upset if anybody's in his bed. And this couch folds out into a double bed, and this is where we all are. The kids can't have their friends spend the night with us. I mean, in the summertime they can, but in the wintertime, it's not good for them to not be able to have their friends over, and their friends are like, well, gee, we have you over, why can't we come over to your house? We don't go out a lot. Thank God we own our own land because we do an awful lot of soccer and football and playing here with the kids and doing that. We like to fish and camp, so that's affordable. Even though I'm working at Cornell, I get the free food giveaways that they have through the community every other week. They distribute stuff, and it's a big help, as far as like cereal and stuff like that. And they lots of times have chips and crackers and cookies and stuff for the kids that I don't buy a lot of the time.
I usually get up at 3:45. I pack a lunch, and normally I go in and get my son up, and he gets around, and then I get my daughter up. We're out in the car by 4:30 and on the highway. If there's any type of emergency or whatever, the kids have got to be woke up. They've got to be taken someplace in the middle of the night instead of just having the luxury of calling and saying, you know, I need somebody to come. And a lot of people take that as a convenience, but it's not. To us, it's a luxury. It's become a luxury to have a phone, to have Sesame Street on Saturday. I don't foresee Chad going to be the vet. I don't see Nikki going to be the teacher. I see them going and having to work like me. They've taken that away because they're saying, okay, you get paid X amount of dollars and that's good for your job. But if you can't at least take your kids to a movie on Saturday, and I'm still doing my job, why can't Cornell help me do my job better? With my family, with my kids. Chad shouldn't have to wear last year's boots to school. We shop at Open Door Missions and Salvation Armies. That's the hard part. I don't see Chad going off and being who I want him to be unless he does it. And it's not fair because I promised those things to him as a baby. I promised that those doors would be open to him, and they're not. I see them all closed. I see college closed because I don't have the money to send them there.
What a glorious thing it would be for the children of janitors and maids and cooks at Cornell to watch their children come down a graduation line. But we've got to go beyond that. People deserve to make livable wages.
The wage scales paid by Cornell University are important to this entire community, not only to those receiving those wages.
We are a one-horse town in this sense. Cornell is the major employer, the overwhelmingly largest employer. And what Cornell University does then sets the standards for the wage pattern across the entire county.
When I was elected mayor 2 years ago, I appointed a commission to study the relationships between Cornell and the city.
Given the evidence that we heard about the very low wages and the fact that Cornell employees are being paid in a way that doesn't compare to a number of peer institutions of Cornell, one of the recommendations we made was to recommend that a neutral fact finder be brought in.
The university has refused to do that, and I don't see why. It seems to me, as an institution of learning, one that I was associated with for 50 years, where I taught, and where our primary ideal was facts, objective information, willingness to examine what the truth really is. That is the role of university, and for a university to refuse to agree to someone who is agreeable as an objective observer to look at the facts and find the truth seems to me to violate the ideals of the university.
The land's been passed down from generation to generation, and it started, oh gosh, way back in the early 1800s with my great-grandparents. And my father was born on the land, I was born on the land, and as the generations come down, it gets passed on. Two of my sons have got shares of it now, I got a share of it. The land provides wood for winter, which I end up spending my vacation time, my days off, cutting, splitting, and storing. When I first started working at Cornell, I've been there, maybe 3 or 4 months. And I realized my income was not going to make my outgoing bills. So I ended up getting a second job, which is at east of Babcock, and I work as brooding and rearing with baby chicks. The baby chicks come in at the farm a day old, and they are weak line of birds because these are special breeding stock for future chickens. And you have to know how to take care of them. Between working at Cornell and my second job, I worked 12 straight days in a row for every 2 days off. Due to the cost of living in Ithaca, it's too expensive to rent or buy a home here. So I live in Trumansburg and I commute to work with a 14-year-old car, and it costs me $60 a month for gasoline just to commute to Cornell. My W-2 wage form and statement shows I made $13,811.30 for the year 91. We're lucky to go out to dinner, usually to Ponderosa, once every 2 months or so. Movies, however, are way too expensive. We can't afford it. As far as having a nice income from Cornell, I don't count on it. I have to end up paying the bills as they come along. I gotta survive today. I can't plan for tomorrow. I'm slowly but surely getting the tools I need now, so when I retire, I can go into making wooden toys as a part-time income.
My heart's desire would be for a home of my own. But at this point, my salary at Cornell, there's no way possible that I can have a home. I have tried FHA, low income, and my salary is way in the cellar to even what they start out with. It's something that I have wanted for a long time, but I find the dream is going further and further away. And I feel that anyone that goes out and works should be able to have their own home. I'm not speaking of a lot of luxuries, but their own home and the necessities of life.
People who are offering food in cafeterias, people who are cleaning the dormitory areas, people who are keeping the grounds so appealing. The entire soul of this university depends on the people that work here to make it a great university. We have to acknowledge it by allowing their lives to also have a sense of greatness. The single largest, most appropriate, most powerful thing that Cornell University can do for the people of its community that sustain it and make it great is to pay an appropriate wage.
So my feeling is the money I'm sure that the workers will need for a decent wage increase, decent standard of living, is not going to be that much, and the university is just going to have to find it. It's that simple. And if they want, we'll come in and do a hearing and subpoena the books, and we'll find for them where the money is.
And I stand with you in your drive to organize at Cornell and demand a livable wage.
I think with Cornell, they care very much for their image. But image is not what makes people happy. Image is not what makes people satisfied. They have more than enough money for new buildings, more than enough to import marble, and in the meantime, the people that work there are being hurt very badly. Emotionally, financially, every which way. And it's really a shame because this I will say, Cornell is one of the most beautiful campuses that anyone could want to see. And to me, it's a mark against them. And I just pray that there's someone in management that will come out of their ivory tower